Have you ever been into a secret garden? Well, today is our lucky day because we are here at the Wild Coast Secret Garden in Morgan Bay. Let's go take a look. Thanks for joining us on More Kai Experiences. Come with us on an adventure as we explore the Morgan Bay and Keimath region on the magnificent wild coast of South Africa. Hi, I'm Kathy Raven. We are here today with Mr. Wayne Haslau. He is a horticulturist here on the Wild Coast, and he's also the owner of the Wild Coast Secret Garden and Wild Coast Clivias. Thank you for having us in your space today.
Pleasure,
Wayne.
Kathy.
Yeah, how's it going?
Well, good, thanks.
Very good.
Busy
Yeah.
time of the year, lots of flowers,
Yeah,
and
wonderful.
yeah, it's all starting to happen. But our summer rains are coming. So,
I can feel that rain coming in.
yeah,
I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's good. We need it. We need it. It's
Yeah.
been dry, so
Oh.
it's good for the plants. Yeah, always good.
Always good.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your time with us. And I wanted to ask you to maybe tell us a little bit of what you know about this area of the Wild Coast as far as the plant goes.
Kathy, this is a warm temperate transition zone. So we're right on the edge of the Transkei, which is summer rainfall. Just south of us is winter rainfall. So this is a sort of area of high plant endemism, and we have sort of interesting climate here because some years the sort of northern high pressures dominate and we get a very wet summer, and some years it's fairly dry and it rains in winter. So the vegetation is adapted to that, and it's very, very diverse, very different. Lots of sort of forest elements coming in to the further south we have what they call the thicket, the xeric thicket, like around Addo, places like that, where you find Clivia nobilis, the pendulous Clivia, and then further north as we sort of move into the Transkei, you start getting the Clivia miniata, which is this kind of Clivia, the lovely orange forest bush lily as they call it,
Beautiful.
which flowers this time of the year, September, under the understories of the forest, and it's become a big deal internationally. Clivias are very sought after now, so
It's good for South African trade.
yeah,
hey?
absolutely.
Bring it
Yeah,
on.
yeah. No, we've got the genes. It's good.
And we've got some of your beautiful cultivars that you have here from all different places. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about a few of your beautiful plants?
We can talk a little bit about the Clivias. This is a very nice little Clivia. This is what they call an interspecific. So it's a cross between the miniata, this orange, and a pendulous Clivia, the Clivia nobilis. I actually need to go and find one and bring it onto the table so we can have a good look at the Clivia nobilis, because that's quite a special one.
Okay, great.
That's sort of further south of us, in the Ciskei area.
Yeah.
It's the sort of dominant Clivia. Whereas as you go further north, it starts to become more miniata predominates, this open flowered one.
Amazing.
The Clivia nobilis are pollinated by sunbirds, and the butterflies pollinate the Clivia miniata. And what we do is we cross, as breeders, we cross the miniata with the pendulous one, and we get this intermediate flower.
Yeah.
This is a lovely little bell-shaped thing, very unusual.
Beautiful.
Very collectible, and it's lovely. It's lovely to have in the garden.
And when you cross those two, who pollinates? Do they share?
Well,
the butterflies,
the
and
butterflies
sunbirds.
probably will do it, and
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe even the sunbirds will do it. So I mean, if you leave them in nature, they'll make a plan.
They make
because
a
the
plan.
wind also Clivias are also wind pollinated. So that's a problem. You've got to actually try and keep, when you're trying to hybridize, you've got to keep the plants in a windless area, because otherwise the pollen moves from one plant to another. It's like dust.
Yeah.
And it's a problem for the breeders to keep them from selfing themselves and crossing amongst themselves.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure some interesting things come up when they do that on their own. Hey?
They do.
Yeah,
In fact, some very interesting kind of stuff has come out of gardens just naturally because
yeah.
of what's going on.
Exciting.
These are slightly more sophisticated crosses, more interesting hybrids.
Yes.
What we call sort of white throat, almost picotee, very different, very nice full heads, very attractive, and it's slightly different. You won't find this. There are areas where you will find this in habitat, but mainly in gardens and from hybridizing.
Beautiful. Wow. What a pleasure.
We've got also this interesting, very different Clivia. This is a Clivia that comes from Japan and China. It's called Lights of Buddha. It's a very different shape leaf, as you can see, to the standard South African habitat Clivias.
Yes.
The Chinese and Japanese are very keen on having an attractive plant in a beautiful glazed pot all year round. So they've been working for a couple of centuries on perfecting beautiful leaf, which we haven't had a chance to do in South Africa.
Yeah. And broader leaf as well, right?
Yeah, broader leaves. Yeah. So this is another one, also very beautiful. So these are what they call the Lights of Buddhas, and
Beautiful.
what we're doing as South African breeders is we're crossing our beautiful flowers onto the Chinese and Japanese leaf. So we're hopefully going to have a plant that not only looks beautiful when it's flowering, but also when it's not flowering.
Oh.
So that's part of the plan going forward, and it's something that a lot of people are working on, and it's very rewarding because to have a beautiful plant like that with magnificent flowers on it is, you can imagine that umbel on this plant would be pretty special.
Stunning. Are you going to have any volunteer projects or
It's possible
enthusiasts from around the globe?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of people visiting us now.
Yeah.
We're on the map, so to speak, and people are, come internationally every year. There's a conference every fourth year. There's an international conference, and people come
Okay.
to visit us based off the conferences, but also locally, people are starting to get more and more interested in Clivias and to grow them and to hybridize them. So we get a lot of people coming to visit us, which is nice.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're a business, so we have to sell Clivias. So we're trying to breed really nice ones that we can, we can be like special. We can have stuff that is really unique and very special. That's a particularly nice one.
It's also a Japanese.
This is one of those beautiful Japanese ones, but you see the leaf is different. It's got what they call it's a lighter Buddha, but it's also got what they call an Akebono X-ray. So it's got like an X-ray pattern on the leaf. Very special.
Wonderful.
Yeah, very nice plant.
Okay, great.
And so that's just a little bit about the Clivias.
And then we've got some orchids down the bottom of the garden as well that we can maybe go and
also
have a
have
little look
orchids, and we have lots of other kinds of lilies, or just generally interesting plants that people, collectible plants basically, variegation and stuff like that. We're very interested in.
Can we go take a look?
Absolutely. Okay, we're just walking past one of the pollination areas. This is just to keep the plants dry and away from the wind as much as possible. Because wind and rain, obviously the water affects the pollen. And we want to keep the plants dry and wind-free as much as possible for pollination.
Great.
It's quite a nice evening. Okay.
Well, here we are in another beautiful part of the secret garden, and Wayne is going to show us some things about some of the other varieties of plants that are growing here. There are many, but we're going to look at some orchids and a few other things. So if you could start us off with some orchids, please, sir.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to talk a little bit about. We got in the secret garden, which is the sort of garden part of the Clivia nursery. We've got lots of different kinds of orchids. We're also very interested in bromeliads and ferns. Just generally ornamental plants, things that are interesting and unique. Variegation is one of the things I'm very, very into. We also do a little bit of breeding, so we do interesting stuff. You can talk to me about that a bit later. Just want to quickly introduce some of the plants. These are the typical old school cymbidiums, very nice plants, difficult to grow in this area because of the funny climate.
Yeah.
They actually prefer more winter rainfall area, but these are old cultivars and they do really well. So we sort of stuck with them. They're really good. Lots of other things, interesting hybrids. This is a Lalia Epicat or Epilalia cross. With a poor man's orchid, amazing colour, beautiful plant.
Yeah.
There's a lovely old sort of typical Cattleya that were very popular in times past, coming back into fashion. And then there's a Dendrobium nobile, which is a sort of a wild one from Darjeeling in India. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
They do very well in this climate, so they're the kind of things we're specialising in.
How many varieties of orchids do you think that you have here?
We're probably close to 100 now, different varieties, which is really nice. And of course, this is, we talked a little bit about in the past about the indigenous stuff. There's a lot of indigenous orchids and indigenous to the area, which we also have quite a lot of.
Yeah.
But they're usually quite small flowered. People don't really pay them much attention, but they're very interesting, very
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. And then you've got another cultivar of another kind of plant.
So these are the two parents. This is a Haemanthus albiflos, which is a very common plant in this area, very unique to this area.
Yes.
It's a lily, very much like a Clivia. It is part of the Liliaceae. Has a very sort of unusual white flower. It's almost like a paintbrush.
Yeah. Looks like a dappled light in the forest on these leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. But the normal coloured leaf is just a pale green leaf.
Yes.
I'm very fortunate in acquiring over time some very interesting leaf variation, leaf variegation. This one I call Milky Way, which is very special. And I took Milky Way and I crossed it with this beautiful one from Northern Ponderland, which is a straight linear variegation, very beautiful plant. And then the idea was to produce this. And it was amazing to be able to do it. This
Wow.
is a cross of the two parents,
Uh-huh.
which I call Stars and Stripes. And it is just basically Stars and Stripes, no relation to the Americans, but there's the stars and the stripes, which is really, really nice.
Trump's not going to get this for his
No.
birthday.
Special, very special Hamanthus, very unique.
Yeah.
So very
That is
exciting to be able to breed both. You know, the vision is to breed these and to get this and to actually get it is really special. So
Wonderful.
special plant, quite unique.
So you guys are doing the Clivias, you've got orchids, you've got Hamanthus, you've got like about hundreds of different kinds of plants here that
we've got
play with all year. Yeah.
Lots of very interesting things, different things.
Yeah, fruit trees.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot of sort of the standard kind of fruit trees and stuff like that, just general bedding plants, but also very interested in unusual things like this Fijian sage.
Yeah.
If I reach down here, I can show you this. This is a slip. A friend gave me a slip of this plant from Fiji.
Yeah.
It's actually a wild sage.
Oh.
So this is it stuck
Does
away
it smell
here,
like a sage?
Gareth. And Kath, I'm going to give you, like all good gardeners do, I'm going to give you this piece and you're going to take it and you're going to grow it. It's going to grow very well for you.
Oh, that smells.
Smell the smell.
Oh,
very rare, very unusual.
It's beautiful.
I
even get a spider with it.
Directly from Fiji. So apparently this thing is growing in Fiji all over the place. It's part of the sort of the bedding plants that they have.
Yeah. I wish our viewers could smell this because it smells like sage, but 100 times more.
So special, unusual things.
Thank you so much. That's really sweet.
That's what we go for. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Well, thank you for having us here today. I think the weather's just held out for us, which is really fantastic. In our comment box down below, there will be all the links about how you can get hold of Wayne at his secret garden and all the amazing things that are happening here. And thank you for joining us. It's been really great spending some time with you out here in the chilly Wild Coast. Thank you, Wayne, for having us.
Pleasure.
Stay with us while we share with you some of the happenings coming up in the next month in our beautiful area. Firstly, at Yellowwood Forest, we're having the Yellowwood Forest Market, and on Saturday the 5th of October between 9 and 2 p.m. It's a food and craft market. You will love it. Come and join us. Next, we have the Kai Beer Fest, which is on the 16th of November. It's a beer fest and beer tasting with a market and a lot of stuff for the kids too. The following weekend, that is the 23rd of November, will be Clivia to Kai, which is South Africa's biggest mountain bike fun ride, and the entries are to be in by the 15th of November. For more info about these and other fun happenings in our area, check all our links below. And if you're staying over, the best place to find accommodation is morganbay.co.za or kaimouth.co.za. We have over 100 listings. Remember to press like and subscribe for future notifications of episodes of More Kai Experiences. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those in the comments section below. We're very happy to hear from you and promise to respond.